So our next guest is Michael Perklin, and if you're wondering what the future of crypto is, that's what he's going to be talking about next. So I'll tell you a little bit about him as we get his slides ready. He founded Canada's first blockchain security consulting company, Bitcoin Consultants, in 2012 after working in the information security field for nearly a decade. Since then, he's earned an industry-wide reputation for best-in-class blockchain security consultations and cryptocurrency security audits. Michael has a Master's of Science in Information Assurance, and he's the former director and a lifetime member of the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada, and he is involved in a variety of cryptocurrency-related projects, including the Cryptocurrency Security Standard and the Bitcoin Professional Certification. So Michael, why don't you come on up here, and I'll talk to you for a few moments while we get things rolling. All right. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So what are some of the things you're going to be talking to me about today, or talking to us about today, rather?
So a lot of security professionals have taken the stage to talk about using hardware wallets and things like that, but not a lot of people have talked about operational security, how to secure your email accounts, how to secure your digital life. Every time somebody's coins get stolen, it always starts with an email account getting hacked or a virus making its way onto someone's machine. So I'll be talking about operational security and what people can do to keep their coins safe.
Fantastic. All right. Will you have a big call to action at the end? What's it going to be?
I'll be opening up to questions if I have time available, but if not, I'll be at the Shapeshift booth just outside the door to take questions there.
Great, great. So as usual, you can submit your questions ahead of time to pollev.com/MAK, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
So a lot of people were coming up to the booth and they were asking me when I was going to speak, and I told them it'll be Saturday afternoon at 4:20. And everyone said, oh, well, that'll be an easy time to remember. I didn't really know what they meant, and then one of the attendees said, oh, well, I was born April 20th. I was like, oh, well, thank you for explaining that to me. That does make sense. My name is Michael Perklin. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer of Shapeshift. Shapeshift, for those who don't know, is a non-custodial digital asset exchange. We support about 70 different cryptocurrencies, and we make it very easy to convert one to the other. There are no accounts, no signups, and you don't need to give your name or your address or any personal information. Today I'll be talking about a couple of common attacks that we see: spear phishing, data breaches. I'll be talking about authentication methods and cryptocurrency keys and security standards and how the future of security will be shaping up. This presentation is a pared-down version of the information security policies that we teach every single new Shapeshift employee. Every new employee who walks through the door, we go through a 2-hour training session with them, explaining various aspects of security and what they should do to keep themselves secure while working at Shapeshift. This 25-page security policy, I've picked the most important pieces, I've condensed it to this 20-minute presentation, and I'm happy to be sharing it with you today. So, spear phishing. Quick show of hands. How many of you have heard of spear phishing? Okay, a fair amount of you. That's great. So, spear phishing is the most common first attack that launches a variety of attacks that will lead to the loss of cryptocurrencies. Spear phishing is targeted spam that doesn't seem like spam. I'll give you an example. There was a rather large cryptocurrency exchange who their chief technology officer happened to really love dogs. He would regularly take his dog to dog shows and have his dog compete in all those dog shows. When an attacker learned this personal piece of information about this CTO's personal life, they set out to attack him. They built a website for the 3rd annual Toronto Dog Show. And they made it look like a regular dog show with pictures of people competing. Once the web page was there in place, they sent an email to the CTO saying, "Hi, James, we'd love for you to bring Fluffy to the 3rd annual dog show. We see that you've competed in the past at this dog show and at that dog show. We'd love to have you bring Fluffy to our dog show. All you have to do is fill out this application. I've attached a Word document. Simply double-click on that, fill it out, and we'll make sure that Fluffy is registered." Well, As you can imagine, that Word document had a macro virus attached to it. The moment that this CTO double-clicked on that attachment to sign his dog up for the dog show, he installed a remote access Trojan on his machine. For the next few weeks, the attacker watched everything that was on his screen, recorded every single keystroke he typed into his computer, including his passwords, and with all that information, about a month later, they lost millions of dollars. And it all started when they identified that this gentleman worked at that exchange. So to protect against spear phishing, one of the easiest ways you can do it is to simply hide the identities of your staff. If people know that so-and-so works at your company, they can be targeted with a spear phishing attack. If they don't know who works at your company, they don't even know where to start with a spear phishing attack. So that's a dead simple method you can use. At Shapeshift, there are only 3 people at the company who have a public-facing personality. One is Eric Voorhees, our CEO. One is myself, Michael Perklin. And one employee actually recently just left the company, but Rain Revere. Another thing you can do related to identities is to protect against data breaches. When any company gets hacked, their database or their information that was taken from their company was put online. When we look back at Equifax, the attackers who hacked Equifax put this data online. When we look at Target, when Target was attacked, all that data was put online. Attackers go through these databases and they look for anybody who seems interesting. Maybe it's a celebrity. Maybe it's somebody who they recognize as a high net worth individual. So if you don't seem interesting, you will be ignored in that data breach. So I recommend you use an alias when you are signing up for third-party accounts that don't directly relate to your business. Who would be a more attractive target? Michael@shapeshift.io or johnsmith@gmail.com. If you're just another random Gmail account in a list of another million Gmail accounts, the attacker won't really care too much to focus on you. So don't be interesting on third-party websites. When you do sign up on third-party websites, one of the first things you should be doing is looking for 2FA. For those who don't know what 2FA stands for, it's a second factor of authentication. These are those rotating 6-digit numbers that your phone will tell you, or maybe one of those little RSA tokens, a little device that'll have a screen with the 6 digits. These second passwords dramatically improve the security of your account. The moment you sign up for an account, the first thing you should be doing is looking to see, do they support 2FA? If they do, enable it immediately. This is a common screen that you would see when you are enabling 2FA. It involves a QR code. Google Authenticator is one of the most common methods of 2FA, and while it is definitely more secure than not using Google Authenticator, I actually don't recommend you use that as my first recommendation. This would be my second recommendation. My first recommendation would be to use a hardware device such as a YubiKey. A YubiKey is a fairly cheap $40 US, 60 Canadian dollar device that allows you to store all of your Google Authenticator tokens in here instead of on a phone. The reason why I recommend this over using a cell phone is your cell phone has probably 6 different antennas. It has a Wi-Fi antenna, a Bluetooth antenna, a LTE antenna, a 3G antenna, a CDMA antenna. Any one of these antennas, the baseband code that is running on the phone itself may have a vulnerability that is as yet unannounced. And if there is a vulnerability, that vulnerability could allow a remote attacker to use the antenna to get into your device and remotely copy the data on your phone, including the 2FA seed itself. However, if your 2FA code is on a YubiKey, there is no antenna. There is no way to get the code off of there unless you physically have possession of that device and you plug it into a computer. The moment it's unplugged, you can't access it. So I strongly recommend YubiKeys as personal security devices, and at Shapeshift, these are mandatory use for all employees. Some 2FA methodologies use cell phones. Maybe they'll send you a text message or an SMS with a 6-digit number, and you have to type in that 6-digit number. Sometimes they will ring your phone, and an automated voice will tell you a 6-digit number over the earpiece. never use your cell phone for 2FA ever. It is better to disable 2FA entirely than to rely on your cell phone as 2FA. And here's why. If I want to break into anyone's bank account, break into anyone's Coinbase account, if I want to steal your cryptocurrency or steal your money, all I have to do is 3 steps. Simply call up their provider, call AT&T and say, "Hi, I'm John Smith. I just got a brand new cell phone, and I'd like you to remap my SIM card to this brand new phone that I have." They will ask you some authenticating questions. "Well, John Smith, what is your birthday?" Quickly check Facebook. Okay, my birthday is January 1st. "Well, what's your zip code?" "Oh, let me look this online database. My zip code is 12345. "All right, John, we've set up your new cell phone. Thank you very much." Now you own their phone. Their cell phone is still in their pocket. Your victim's cell phone is in their pocket, but all of their text messages are now going to my phone in my pocket. Once I own their phone, I can go to their email account and say, "I forgot my password." When you click "I forgot my password," Google will say, "Well, not a problem. We will send you a text message so that you can reset your password." When they send John that text message, I get it. I can now reset John's password, and now I have access to his email. First I own his phone, then I own his email. The next step, I go to Coinbase, I go to his Bank of America account. "I forgot my password." Not a problem. We will send you an email to reset your password. I'm now getting John's emails. I click on the link, I reset his password, I can log into his account, withdraw all of his Bitcoin, transfer all of his cash, and basically take all of their money. I know people who have lost millions upon millions of dollars with this simple attack using a cell phone provider. So to protect against this, there are a couple of simple things that you can do. First of all, never put your cell phone number as a password recovery method. If Google asks you to set up your cell phone just in case you forget your password, don't do it. The moment your phone number is in there, you are now much easier to attack than breaking your password. Also, you can call your carrier. Call up AT&T or T-Mobile or whoever your carrier is and ask them to password protect your account. Do not allow any account changes over the phone. If you get a new phone, ask them to require you to go into the store with ID and say, "I am Michael Perklin, here is my ID, please allow me to change my phone." Now, the next thing I want to talk about is biometrics. Hands up if you use biometrics for anything. Maybe a fingerprint sensor or the Apple Face thing. Okay. So biometrics look so cool in movies and in TV shows. They make it look like it's the future of security. Unfortunately, cool and secure are different things. And there's 3 reasons why. First of all, every biometric identifier is public. Every single glass that I hold has a copy of my fingerprint. Every single photograph of me online has my face from multiple angles that could be used to recreate my 3D facial geometry. Every one of our pieces of our body are inherently public. That's like walking around with your password written on your forehead. You don't make your password public, so why do you use anything that is public for your password? Second reason you should never use biometrics is because every biometric sensor, like the fingerprint sensors or the Apple Face sensor, all of those sensors have an error threshold built in because our bodies are always changing. Maybe one day you're wearing your glasses. Maybe one day you're not wearing your glasses. What if you played a lot of guitar, so now your calluses are a little bit thicker today than they were yesterday? These sensors need to be able to let you in even if you're just a little bit off. That's like typing in most of your password correctly, but the rest of your password you got totally wrong, but we'll let you in anyways. Passwords don't work like that. Biometrics shouldn't be used for that reason. But the third and most important reason why you should never use biometrics when you are setting up an account is password revocation. If I learn your password, you'll change it to lock me out. If I get a copy of your physical key, you will change the lock to lock me out. But if you get a copy of my fingerprint, you can't really revoke that. Well, I guess you could, but you probably wouldn't want to. That just means that for the rest of my life, if I know that John in the audience got a copy of this fingerprint today in 2018, It could be 2030, 2040, so many years in the future, and I know that I still can't use that fingerprint because he may still have a copy of it. So don't use biometrics in the first place. They are less secure than passwords. Now, passwords are kind of difficult to remember. They always recommend use a different password for everything. It should include uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols. To make it easier to remember your passwords, I strongly recommend you use a password database. These are programs that you can install on your computer or on your phone that allow you to store every single password so that you can look it up easily. You don't need to memorize it, you just need to store it securely. These password databases are encrypted with strong encryption so that even if they do end up in someone else's hands, nobody can use it because they don't know your master password. And when you think about how a password database works, when you are about to log into a website, you click a button, it'll look up the password for the current website, and it'll type it in for you automatically. Whether your password is only 3 characters long or your password is 300 characters long, it copies and pastes it into that password field just the same. So you should maximize the length of your password as much as you can. As you're creating a brand new password for this website, try to make it 100 characters. Oh, sorry, sir, we only support characters with a maximum length of 64. All right, make it 64. Oh, we don't allow the equal sign in the password. We only allow periods and numbers. Okay, well, work within the restrictions of each website to make it as complex as possible within the restrictions of that website. But at some point, you'll have to memorize some passwords. Your master password that you type in to unlock your password database needs to be up here. If you want to open up your laptop, you can't look up your laptop password inside your password database because you haven't unlocked your laptop password yet. So there are some passwords that you will need to remember. When you choose a password that you remember, never use a password algorithm. Some people think that it's secure to use some kind of an algorithm when they're creating a password. Common algorithms would be, for the name of the website, take the first letter and the last letter. So if I'm creating a Google password, I'll take a G and I'll take the E. Then I'll have the number 123, and then I'll have XYZ. But it's different for every website because the letters are different for every website. Once somebody breaches a password database, and once they look at your original password, they can see that this is related to the website name. They can figure out your algorithm, and now they can go to every single other website and try your algorithm on this website, on that website, and they will likely get in. So don't use algorithms at all. Never use anything that exists on the internet. Song lyrics, book passages, movie quotes, anything that could exist online, you should not use as a password. Instead, I recommend that you derive your passwords from personal memories. One tip that I give to people to come up with a good password is, I want you all to think of your childhood bedroom. Picture yourself right now sitting on your bed, looking at the door of your bedroom. While you were on that bed, what was in front of you? What was to your right of you when you were sitting on your childhood bed? What was behind you? What was to your left? You know these things because you lived in this room for a long time. You can very easily come up with a very secure password. This slide shows, in the first line, a completely randomly generated password. Very difficult to remember. But below, it shows a secure password. For example, I could have had Bobo the bear on the dresser. Beside Bobo, I had a Third Eye Blind poster, because that was all the rage when I was a child. Then I had my saxophone, I had my 28 baud modem and a PC, I had a window with the hash right in the middle of the window panes, and then I had my model rocket kit. By simply picturing myself in this bedroom and walking around the room in my mind, I can put together a very secure password that is easy for me to remember. When I want to remember the password, I simply need to close my eyes again, look around the room in my mind's eye, and I've got the password again. This is a very good way of coming up with a password. Start with some memory and turn the memory into your password. When it comes to wallets, best advice that everyone gives is use a hardware wallet. don't use a software wallet that has a known vulnerability. Use wallets that have common standards. The 3 most popular hardware wallets are KeepKeys, Ledgers, and Trezors. Any one of these 3 are very, very good. They follow standards, and they make it very easy to store and use cryptocurrencies. I also recommend that when you store your backup, you store it in a fireproof and floodproof manner. If your backup piece of paper gets flooded, the ink could run, and now you can no longer read your 24-word seed. If a fire breaks out, it could burn the paper, and now you've lost the backup to all of your crypto. I also recommend storing it in tamper-evident packaging. This way you'll know if somebody has made a photo of your thing or has otherwise copied it down. Some examples of this would be a hardware wallet such as a KeepKey, a crypto steel. This is a steel slab that has individual letter tiles, so you can make up the 24 words with these individual letters, slide them in one by one, and now this piece of steel cannot be flooded, cannot be burned, and will keep the backup of your cryptocurrency safe. Once you have this steel, I recommend putting it into a tamper-evident bag like you see here, and now you'll know if somebody has read it without your knowledge. In general, you should never enter your backup mnemonic seed into a website. You should never show it to somebody or give it to anyone. And when it comes time for you to set up your wallet and they tell you to write down your seed, you should write it down. Never use your phone to take a photo of your seed. Most phones will automatically upload your photos to iCloud or to your Google Drive, and that means that anybody who breaches that account can now read your 24-word seed and can steal your cryptocurrency. So paper and pen cannot be hacked. So stay analog when it comes to your cryptocurrency. Next thing I want to talk about is an exciting new project at Shapeshift that makes it dead easy to secure a variety of cryptocurrencies. If you want to store 10 different cryptocurrencies, before you had only really 2 bad options. Either number 1, you could download 10 different wallets, you can create 10 different private keys, you could synchronize 10 different blockchains, and then send 10 different cryptocurrencies. You pretty much need a computer science degree in order to figure all this out. It is not an easy-to-do thing, and the space requirements on your computer are astronomical. The other option that you would have is to trust somebody else. You could create an exchange account, and you can maintain 10 different balances on the exchange. But now you have to hope and pray that they don't get hacked, because when they get hacked, you lose your money. Now there's a third option, and that is with Prism. Prism is a groundbreaking smart contract that exists on the Ethereum blockchain. When you go to the prism.exchange website, you can build your pie graph and say, I want salt in there, I want Bitcoin in there, I want Litecoin. You can pick and choose and drag and drop the lines with your mouse to choose which cryptocurrencies you want in your wallet. Once they're there, you send Ether in, and once the Ether is in, that Ether begins tracking the price of all the assets you put inside that smart contract. As salt would rise, the value of your Ether would rise. As Litecoin would drop, the value of your Ether would drop. After a day, a week, or a month, when it comes time for you to take your Ether out, you use your one private key to close your Prism down. It collapses everything back into Ether, and you will get either more Ether or less Ether out than what you put in, depending on the performance of your assets over time. This allows you to store hundreds of cryptocurrencies with a single private key. It's always a lot easier to secure one key than it is to secure hundreds. If you're more on the business side or the institutional side, I recommend you take a look at the Cryptocurrency Security Standard. This is an open source standard published by a nonprofit organization, C4, that formalizes a lot of security advice for institutions. This standard is used by many exchanges for storing pretty much any cryptocurrency, and it's free and open for anyone to use. Simply use your favorite search engine to look for the Cryptocurrency Security Standard. You can read all of its advice. There are 33 controls that give you advice on how to secure your cryptocurrencies. It makes it dead easy to measure how secure your system is and to know what you need to change to make it even more secure. I have 2 minutes left for questions. I'd like to open it up to the floor. Right here on the left.
So, in the wallet itself, are you storing these other currencies as token representations of the currency and then having an actual reserve in another wallet in-house?
So the question was about Prism and how it stores all these cryptocurrencies. And there's...
I guess I was asking, though, are you creating token representations of these currencies in that wallet, or are the currencies actually...
So the question was about how Prism stores these currencies or if it uses synthetic assets. And it's actually a really interesting thing. The reality is there are no cryptocurrencies in there. There's only Ether. The way that it works is if you put 5 Ether in, Shapeshift also puts 5 Ether in. Now there's 10 Ether in there, and we peg the needle at 50%. 50% is yours, 50% is Shapeshift's. As Monero rises, we move the needle up. And now 6 Ether is yours, 4 Ether is ours. As it falls, we move the needle the other way. Now 4 Ether is yours and 6 is ours. As the price constantly changes, we simply move the needle amongst these 10 Ether until it comes time for you to close it. At that moment, we look at where the needle is. You get your portion of Ether. We get our portion of Ether. So there are no other cryptocurrencies. There's only Ether. Your question.
So this is just something I've been thinking about, and I'm hoping to receive some advice on this. So I've been thinking about, like, I take all these steps to secure my assets. What if something was to happen to me, I pass away, and my family's trying to recover these assets? What advice could you provide?
That's a great question. I'd love to answer it, but unfortunately, I only have 30 seconds left. I'd like you to join me at the Shapeshift booth, and I'll answer a question about digital inheritance there.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Fantastic job, Michael. That was great.
Thank you.
Outstanding.